Greetings to everyone out there in YouTube land. I'm Ahmed Hassanin, and I just want to give a shout out to Coach Dan. Thank you for all the support you show the team and the players. Everyone hit the like, subscription button, and yell woo in the comments. Thank you, and go Lions.
What's going on, guys? It is Aiden Hutchinson.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown.
What's up to Lion Talk Live? So we love you too, buddy.
What's up, everybody? It's Calvin Johnson Jr. here, a.k.a. Megatron, a.k.a. First Ballot.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live, Coach Dan, by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody, woo!
Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I am your momentary host, Dan O'Damas, and I'm here to foretell with the basketball of fate and power the foretellings of the Detroit Lions this Sunday against the Chicago Bears. Let me tell you, there will be many times the Lions find their way into the end zone. Jared Goff will lead a passing attack that scores multiple times, and the vaunted Detroit Lions rushing attack will run all over the little teddy bears as we score a 35-17 victory on Sunday. And yes, I will tell it now as I see and peer into the future. Once, twice, three, how about just 8 times that the Detroit Lions defense goes ahead and gets sacks on that guy from the quarterback from the Chicago Bears. Ben Johnson will be leaving crying in his soup as he gets cold soup served to him for losing in epic fashion to the Detroit Lions. And then, yes, one more time, we'll see a body slam, WWE style, as Dan Campbell picks up Ben Johnson, throws him down at the halfway point of the field, the midway field, the 50-yard line, and pronounces the Detroit Lions are victorious. These are my bold predictions. Mwah! Well, thank you, Dan O'Damas, for making a little entrance over to the show. And, hey, greetings and salutations, everybody out there in YouTube land. Hey, we've got a good show set up for everybody today. I think if you've watched, if you stayed and watched the game last night, you see a whole lot of similarities between the Detroit Lions game week 1 against Green Bay Packers and what you saw with the Washington Commanders last night. You know, I'll ask you guys, if you watched the game, did you feel better? Did you feel worse? How did you feel about the game? My thoughts, man, that Packer defense, it is something, especially early in the year when maybe teams aren't as ready for it. It's going to make a big difference. It was virtually watching a replay. If you just took off the Commanders red and put on the Lions uniform colors, I thought it was basically a carbon copy of things. So we'll dive into that. We'll dive in the main topic of the day. We'll dive into the 5 headlines now and probably everything else in between. Also, when we get to the main topic of the day, I'm going to give you guys some score predictions. I did go over and check out a lot of the Chicago-based media, see what their thoughts are on this upcoming game. I didn't want to go with stuff, for the most part, from Detroit-based media. I get when we do that, you tend to get a little homered. So I said, hey, let's go behind enemy lines, see what they have to say, and we'll get that over to you guys. Quickly, before we get into all the above, if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. We are 7 subs away from hitting 14,500. If you can help out with that, I surely would be thankful. Also, if you have a free second in time, it won't cost you anything. Reach on down, hit the thumbs up button, hit the like button, hit all the buttons. We try to get every episode of the show between 200, 300, 400 or more thumbs up or likes. Last but most certainly, never least, as you can see it scrolling at the bottom of the screen, if you're looking for someone to work for you when you're considering buying property, selling property, everything in between, if it's real estate regarding, go ahead and give me a call or shoot me a text, 269-998-2384. Have a quick conversation, see what I can do to help you save time, save money, make the process easier. I've done it for over 30 years. So if you want somebody who's got your back, look out for your best interests, go ahead and give me a call, and we'll have a conversation. All right, all that done, set out of the way. Let's go ahead and get this show rocking, rolling, and going, and kicking off with, as you probably already knew, 5 headlines now. All right, 5 big headlines coming at you. Thank you, Dan O'Damas, for your predictions. I like the way he's thinking. First one up, the Lions had a chance to hire Dan Campbell in 2018. But as we all know, they went with Matt Patricia. A to Z Sports, Mike Payton with this one. I was not aware of this until getting ready for this morning's show, but the Detroit Lions had chatted with Dan Campbell back in the day, 2018. Can you imagine how much different things might have been? Well, nothing you can do about it now. It's always funny when you find things, stories like this out. Campbell clearly made a bit of an impression on ownership when they talked to him in 2018, because even though he still wasn't widely known as far as a head coaching candidate through the NFL, the Lions did quickly ask him to come back, interview once again. We know the Lions had a couple people across the NFL come in and interview that had more experience as a head coach, but MCDC won them over. And what we can probably all say at this point, if you watch him in interviews, you meet him person to person, he does resonate. And I don't care if it's national media, local media, everybody says the same thing. He will get you to run through a wall. He's got a certain presence about him when he talks. Most of the good football coaches do. Let's face it, you've got to talk people into putting their bodies consistently in harm's way over and over again. MCDC seems to have that in spades. For those who don't know, Campbell, prior to having that interview with the Lions in 2018, he had spent some time with the Miami Dolphins and other teams, including the New Orleans Saints, in some lesser roles, not a head coaching role, although I guess you could say with the Miami Dolphins, he did momentarily take over as the intern head coach once their coach was fired back in the day. He did get some overtures back in 2018 to interview with the Colts, Packers, Cardinals, and Browns, stuff I did not know prior to picking up this article. So good thing for the Detroit Lions. We got him. I think most would agree, although after week 1 of the regular season, maybe not everybody, most would agree he's been a big boon for the franchise and organization. If you've been a Lions fan for any length of time, you probably remember what was like prior to MCDC's hire, and it wasn't good. So thankfully, they got it right the second time around. All right, next to the 5 headlines. Detroit Lions faced with possibility of losing quarterback to the 49ers. Heavy story by Ann Erickson. This one is, I think, a legit possibility. For those who don't know, Brock Purdy, the starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, he's going to miss a little time. Due to that, they're going to have an opening spot, and that's where Detroit Lions' current quarterback, C.J. Beathard, comes into play. He was on the practice squad. He was with the 49ers recently. He knows their systems, and they do need more quarterback help right now. I can't imagine the Lions are going to place one of their 4 precious protected spots on him. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they will. So the question is, what do the 49ers do? They've got to get somebody in there, and it sounds like he is going to be one of the key options for them. Is he a starting level NFL quarterback? Probably not. Obviously, the Lions don't envision him as that, as they've got him as the number 3 guy, the emergency guy. But you got to get somebody out there. And if I'm the 49ers, he knows Kyle Shannon's offense already. It wouldn't take a whole lot to get him up to speed, so they probably are going to try to bring him on back to the Bay Area. All right, next up, 5 headlines now. John Morton seems to brush off Lions' clear issues ahead of week 2. Fan side story by Ernesto Cova. So if you, again, watch last night's game between the Commanders, between the Packers, what did you see in your eyes? I'm not telling you what way to think or how to think. I'm only going to tell you what I saw. And I saw a whole lot of the similar problems that the Commanders had, that the Lions had. Lions week 1, things are a little rough. We've beat it up for the last week or so. Hey, why should you play guys in the preseason, especially if you got a major matchup week 1? Maybe something to that. But the Washington Commanders, they did have a warm-up game week 1. They did go through all that. And did you see any massively bigger holes on the offensive line for people to run through? Was the protection really ultimately that much different than what Jared Goff saw? But as far as the defense, and you can go through this thing layer by layer by layer if you want to. And again, I know I talked about it already in the opening mantra a little bit. I just thought, man, it was a carbon copy paste. If you're the Packers, you are going to throw that ball downfield. They did it to us. They did it to Commanders. They had some success with it. You are going to have to put pressure on him without question. I would love that is. Now, getting in regards to John Morton, He obviously, when he gave these comments, the game hadn't been played yet between the Commanders. But John Morton does say the offense is being fixed. It's being addressed. That's a direct quote. It's being fixed. Morton said on Thursday, quote, again, taking some of the players out where there's a lot of miscommunications, going on the road. We didn't do a lot of shifting and things like that. It's going to be fixed. So to Morton's point, and I think everybody agrees, the Packerland was up in arms. They were, fiery. They were going to make it hard on the Lions offense to communicate. And that definitely showed up with miscommunications repeatedly on offense, especially the offensive line. Being at home this week, a second week in the system for John Morton should be a lot easier, I would anticipate, unless, they sell out Ford Field of Bears fans. With that also being said, this will be probably a real big opportunity for John Morton to quell the worries, fears. Even in the national media, watching ESPN while I was at the gym yesterday, you could see them trying to all come at John Morton, the offense. Why didn't you just run the same stuff that Ben Johnson did? We might end up finding at the end of this game, week 2 here, this weekend on Sunday, that the Lions offense isn't all doom and gloom. Maybe it's going to be right, but you got to see it out there. Make no bones about it. Part of coaching is taking pressure. John Morton's feeling some heat right now. Maybe you could say the Lions players too, but my anticipation is if they're going to get right, it's going to be this game against the Bears team that may or may not have its full complementary of secondary players out there, maybe missing a starting linebacker or two. So if you can get right this week, man, I would put it on the Bears, and not in the disrespectful fashion. Myself as a coach, I want my guys to believe we are going the right direction. Week 1 was just a mistake. Hey, we'll move on from it. Get this game, look convincing, and then get ready for a real big week 3. All right, Detroit Lions get starting linebacker back at practice. Taylor Decker still missing. MLive.com. Ben Raven with this one. So the good news is Jack the Hammer Campbell is back. He got back on the field, full participant yesterday. He tweaked the ankle, obviously, to some degree, but the good thing is he's going to be back, and that'll be a big win for the Lions. We get it. You're going to face Caleb Williams. He's mobile. He's accurate at times. At other times, he's not so accurate passing. But you're going to want somebody who's going to own the middle of the field against him and put as much pressure on them from a double layer standpoint. Campbell can get after the quarterback. He can stop the run. And yes, while he may not be the greatest in the NFL in pass coverage, I think he is pretty decent. Not great, but decent. Decker is probably the more concerning thing. There were some reports that came out later yesterday that there were some anticipations Decker's going to play on Sunday. That has not been corroborated from Detroit Lions coaching staff, though. If Decker misses Sunday, the Lions offensive line didn't look great week 1. This would be a big deal for them, although my anticipation is I'm going to go with some of the reports that came out yesterday. I think Decker does play. He's a vested veteran. I mean, he's played in this league for a while. Does he really need the Wednesday and Thursday practices to be right on Sunday? Probably ultimately not. I think, today's typically for most NFL teams more of a walkthrough and stuff. Maybe even do one Saturday to a certain degree since it's a home game and you don't have to travel. If he's out there today, if he's out there Saturday, again, if they do something Saturday, I think he's going to be good to go. My guess is with some of the surgery cleanup that he had on the shoulder, they're trying to be respectful of it and make sure he's able to go the full season. We'll have to wait and find out, though. All right, Kelvin Shepard's, we'll be talking about this in the main topic of the day. Kelvin Shepard's fiery comments ahead of Lions-Bears matchup should get fans excited. Sideline report, Candace Barreras with this one. The Lions coaching staff, and, by all accounts, Shep's one of the guys leading the pack here. They are fired up and ready for this weekend. Who wouldn't it be? You got Ben Johnson coming on in. You've got MCDC ready to prove that this team isn't going to be ran over and be 0-18 or whatever some people are saying. I think Shepard, you see why MCDC hired him. For those who maybe go back to remember Hard Knocks when DC talked about, hey, be you when you're out there. And that's basically what any coach should be. Don't try to morph into something other people want. Be yourself. And that probably applies to life in general. Shepard is somebody, when you watched him play as a player, he played with a whole lot of passion. How is he now coaching? With a whole lot of passion. You sometimes, I'm sure he's going to rub some people the wrong way. But the other side of that is people know exactly what you're thinking all the time. In my anticipation, could the matchups have been a little bit better? Some of the terminology cleaner, some of the expectations for the defense cleaner in week 1 against the Packers? Absolutely. But you know what? every week he's going to get better. Every week the players are going to understand what he wants a little bit more. I've got a lot of belief in Kelvin Shepherd. I'm going to guess most of you guys do too, but that team's got to go out there. The defense has got to go out there and perform, and he's got them apparently fired up and ready to go. All right, all that said, we're going to be talking about that a little bit more in-depthly during the main topic of the day, so let's head on over to, the main topic of the day. All right, I did say I was going to give you guys some score predictions. I'm going to do that real quick before we go ahead and get into the main topic of the day. All right, so this is going to come from a number of reporters from the Chicago Sun-Times. Like I talked about during the opening mantra, I didn't want to put up all Detroit-based media's predictions because you probably understand they would all be one-sided. With that being said, Chicago Sun-Times, Patrick Finley says the Lions should win 27-21. Quote, the Lions' playoff expectations are more legitimate than those of the Bears, and they need this game. Over the last 35 years, teams that start 1-1 make the playoffs 41.6% of the time. Teams that start 0-2 only make it 12.2% of the time. Jason Lesnar, also of the Sun-Times, 27-20. The Bears had 10 offensive points going into the final minutes Monday and now face a team sure to bring its A game against Ben Johnson after losing the opener to the Packers. Mark Matash has got the Lions winning 26-24. The Bears will be much more disciplined and Caleb Williams more consistent in Johnson's second game. But the Lions will be better, too. Coming off a tough opening loss to the Packers at Lambeau. Steve Greenberg has the Lions winning 24-23. Let's not assume the Lions, who couldn't protect Jared Goff or run the ball in Green Bay, are automatically playoff caliber. Note to Williams, take your drop, plant your back foot, and get the dang ball out. It really is that simple. Scoop Jackson of the Sun-Times says Lions 27-17. Quote, you know how they are going to, you know how they're going to regret you saying, quote, out loud voice. Here's one. Johnson got out-coached in the fourth quarter last week because of this game against the Lions. It was psychological for Ben Johnson. He wants revenge against Detroit. I don't think he gets it this week. So there you go. There's some scores from behind enemy lines. I'm not going to mess with too many more, but going over to some other ones, Vinny Liar had the Lions 24-21. Bill Bender had 31-22 Lions. Jeremy Cuff, Lions 31, Bears 23. And Ian McMillan, Lions over Bears doesn't give a score, but you get it. I think a whole lot of people across the landscape of Chicago are predicting the Bears are going to fall this week, which would make them 0-2. All right, main top of the day, Calvin Shepherd puts Lions on notice with, quote, no excuses mindset. He came after Terrion Arnold in this quote right off the bat and repeatedly. Whether or not you want to call the player as a coach, I'll leave that to you guys. Everybody's going to handle this differently. But he did, and he said, I've got a lot of respect for Terrion Arnold. Thinks Arnold is an emerging star for the Lions, but also said, you got to play better than that. This is stuff I'm going to paraphrase here. Goes out and points out how early in the game, Lions had some good stuff going on, shutting down the run, really limiting the Packers. And I think anybody who rewatches the Green Bay Packers game for the Lions would say that went positively for the team. It's going to be hard to run on this team. I thought about doing a topic just on the play of Tyreek Williams. Instead, I figured I'd go with the Shep thing and talk a little bit about Sunday's matchup. But Tyreek Williams, while we're talking about people, if you go back and rewatch that tape, his run game defense was dang good. Green Bay struggled with him. Imagine what it's going to be like another month or two from now once he gets polished up a little bit less of a rookie and more of an NFL player. But getting back to Calvin Williams, he does point out a lot of things that's got to be corrected. Like I said, he did call out Terrion Arnold for not great communication, a lack of fundamentals, and that did cost the Lions a few different times when he got beat one by Jalen Reed on a 17-yard touchdown, Romeo Doubs for a 48-yard gain. As Arnold plays better, I think the defense plays better. I'm not going to break down what I would do differently, but Kelvin Shepherd goes through in this story, in this interview, as he's getting ready for Sunday. A lot of stuff. Does call out, like I said, TA a lot, gives some praises to a couple other spots, but he's saying he's going to demand everybody on this team plays better. He doesn't want to hear about, well, this situation, that situation, this didn't happen. It's week 1. He doesn't want excuses, and I like that from him. Like I said, his direct quote was, he's overhearing excuses. Can you play? Can you not play? We referenced earlier in the show Hard Knocks. That's probably the first time I've really seen Kelvin Sheppard coach in any kind of capacity. I mean, he was fairly new to the team at that point. And at that point, he was just a linebackers coach. You watched him go through the linebacker review meetings on film, how he was calling people out, saying Rodrigo was the best linebacker out there. And all these veterans, what are you doing to stave them off? It's my anticipation. One thing I like about Kelvin Sheppard a lot, he's aggressive, he's assertive, he speaks his mind. I'll give you another thing, too. I think he doesn't care if you're a rookie or a veteran. He wants just what's best for the team. Arnold did not have a great first game of the year. A lot of that could be contributed to the groin issue, the hamstring issue, missed some time in the preseason. If that's accurate, though, and I've been talking about it all week, why is he on the field? If you don't feel like he's fully healthy, if you feel like he's not ready to be in the game on a full-time capacity, why are you putting him in there on big moments? To me, that's favoring a player versus making a team decision. I try to stay away from that kind of stuff as a coach. If they don't like it, there's the door. That's what I tell people. So what are your guys' expectations for Kelvin Sheppard and the team this weekend? My anticipations are this, based on what we saw week 1, based on some of the stuff that Shep said where he slammed his fist in that podium a couple times, and he's pretty fired up for this game. I think he also understands if the Lions have a real good, strong defensive performance against their old coach, offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, that's going to speak volumes about his abilities, the defensive abilities, probably give him a lot of confidence too. I'm going to guess he's going to be very aggressive this game. We saw good showing from the Lions stopping the run. Now, probably everybody in the Duke Crew comment section is going to say it's the same thing. We all get it. You can stop the run. Can you stop the pass? Lions did not do a very good job early in the game against it. Later in the game, you could say they improved exponentially. Some of that, though, was when Arnold was out. We heard national media, Detroit media, everybody say the same thing during training camp. Man, Arnold looks like, the greatest coming of a Lions quarterback ever. Hutchinson couldn't be stopped. Marcus Davenport was the immovable object that destroyed quarterbacks. Well, what didn't we see week 1? Any of those 3 things. How much could that change around this week? We're going to wait and see. All right, we got about 8 minutes until Professor Steele is due to join us, so let me head on over to the Duke Crew comment section, see what you guys have to say. I'm pretty fired up about it. A lot of you guys reached out this week and asked if I would do a live cast Sunday. I'll do one. Since we're not going to the game or anything, I don't think we have any plans. So if you guys want to me to do a live cast, let me know the thoughts in the comments section. I'll set up because I'm going to have to move some things around in the office to get the game up here. All right, JDC, morning all. Back at you. Michael D, greetings, salutations, coach and Duke Crew. One pride, exclamation point. Rob, greetings, salutations, Coach Dan and Duke Crew. The Lions are the grooviest, Daddy-O. I concur with your assessment of the situation. Good to see you, Rob. Feels like it's been a hot minute. Gary, morning, buddies, and always good to see you. Trey, what's good, everybody? Question mark. I think we will bounce back this week. Have to. I believe in this team. I think we all believe in the team. Now I just got to go get confirmation on the field. Rob, it's that time of year. It's time to cat around Detroit. Okay. Walt, good morning, Coach and Duke Crew. Woo! I made a live show. Congrats on that, Walt. Always good to see you, my friend. Hey, Carrie, welcome, Walt. It's Rob. I usually don't wake up soon enough, but I've been up all night. Oh, hopefully everything's okay, man. Hopefully you're all right. Well, thanks, Carrie. Jess, greetings, salutations, Duke Crew. After watching the game last night, I kind of feel better about how we did. Green Bay is legit. They are, man, and I'll give credit. I know I made a comment about Green Bay played some starters in the preseason. There were a couple people that asked me questions about that. I don't remember, like earlier this week in the comment section on videos. And I can only tell you, I didn't watch their preseason games, but going from Green Bay media, Milwaukee State Journal, etc., they do point out that the Packers, not everybody, they did have a lot of guys play in preseason games. And in my opinion, they looked, a week or two ahead of us. And you could even say the Washington Commanders. I think that will probably dissipate as the season goes on, maybe catch up to them a little bit. But let's also give credit where credit's due. Green Bay is a pretty good team. All right, Drake, morning, Duke Crew. We need to be aggressive, take control of Sunday, and not let the Bears hang. I agree with that. If you get a chance, you put them down early, you take control of the game, you take some stress and pressure off every aspect of the team. Bo, so are the Bears going to be bringing switches with them? Question mark. Or is this going to be a Chicago Lops? I don't know. We'll find out. Yeah, Gary, and good morning, Bo. Gary, you mean we better hold on with the back braces for a couple more weeks? All right, we'll do that. Jason, greetings, sanitation, Dooku. I believe Sunday we will see the Lions we have expected to see. Fired up, exclamation point, 100%. Hey, man, one bad game is a thing. 2 bad games is a trend. Let's not get into the trend phases. Stephanie, good morning, boys. Exclamation point. When we win Sunday, I like the way you're thinking, that's going to set up a must-watch Monday night game. We can do this. Yes, we win Sunday, which, hey, Dan O'Damas has foretold we will. That game week 3 is going to be dang interesting. If you pull that off, and now you come home against the Cleveland Browns, you win that one, man, you're 3-1. I'll take that. JDC, go Lions, go Tigers, go Detroit. How about that? Well, good morning, Bo Booth. Bo, hey, Walt. All right, France, I'm worried about our offensive line. Sounds like Decker missed his second straight practice. Manu time Sunday. Don't know anything official, but I think Decker's going to play. Anymore, good morning, Coach Dan and the Dooku. What a team. What a podcast. What time be a Lions fan. Woo! And good to see you, Henry, as always. Jess, I'm thinking every player on our team is just over what went down in Green Bay, and that we have Johnson Sunday. Hope we put a beat down on Chicago. Yeah, I think that would be ideal for all aspects of the team. Gary, I heard Decker is supposed to be back. Yeah, I heard something about that, although it hasn't been confirmed yet. Big Eddie, I hope he is, Gary. Need this game in the worst way. Coach, I like the new intro. Hey, thanks for that, man. I enjoyed making the intros. It works for some people. It doesn't work for others. The more I run this channel, here's what I do know. I'm probably true in everything in life. I can't make everybody happy. Hopefully, some of you guys at least like this stuff. Rob, the Bears are my second favorite team. There you go. Rob, every time I think of number 2, the Bears come to mind. Could be a strong correlation. Art Shepard was pretty intense in that presser yesterday. Yes, he was. He will have a huge impact on our defense. Morton seems like Morton like a kid afraid to go in the water. I hope it's just he doesn't do pressers well. I think a lot of that's probably accurate there, Art. He just isn't good on the mic. JDC, Rob Cano, laughing out loud, flush twice. You might want to do that. Xavier, greetings, salutations to you, Coach Dan, and the Dooku. Hope everyone has a blessed day. Exclamation point. Let's go, Lions. Woo! And back at you. John, good morning, Coach and crew. Someone should get mad about that performance. This team is better than the play we saw in Green Bay. Yeah, a whole lot of things could be cleaned up. I know MCDC's talked about it. I know other coaches have. A lot of that stuff is correctable from week 1 to 2. How much will we see an improvement? I think that's the big question. And John, to your point, I think we all want to see a big improvement. Susan, is it 1 p.m. Sunday yet? Question mark. Needs to be. I hope it gets here pretty quick. Carrie, heard Detroit has a chance to pick up Edge for $1 million. I wonder who that would be then. We'll have to find out. Lauren, good morning. All in the Duke crew. It is Friday. Yay. Woo. Good to see you, Lauren. Stephanie, so who steps up for us this week? Question mark. I'm really hoping the running game and pass rush can. Yes. You get a running game. Now you got play action. Now you can take some of those shots. Washington, I thought they did a little bit better with the play action than us, but they ran it a little bit better. How much is that week 1 or game 1 to game 2 for them? That's going to be the big thing. Xavier, Lions will bounce back 35-14. Exclamation point. I'm down with that. France, Stephanie, when do you fight again? Question mark. Will it be on TV? We'll find out. Hell, after last night's game, I wonder if there are calls to fire the offensive coordinator of the Commanders. Probably some of the fan base will be like that. Hey, what we see here with Detroit stuff, that's no different than what you see in most media markets. Gary, I was going to ask Stephanie the same thing, and now you know. See, Stephanie, France, 2 weeks from tomorrow, I believe so. All right, well, good luck. There you go. JDC, Puff, woo, coffee, and Lions Talk Live. Rob, JDC, courtesy flush for Ben Johnson. Hey, way to be courteous there, Rob. 5 fingers ready. So are the Packers that good? Question mark. Commanders look the same as us in your opinion. I thought there was a whole lot of similarities, and I didn't watch the whole game. Watch about the first half, and that was it, but I thought it was basically like a cut and paste of our game. JDC, laughing out loud, Rob. Jessica, good morning, Duke crew, and back at you. Art, We will see night and day improvements. I concur on both sides of the ball on Sunday. I get the feeling more of it will be on defense. I see a big day coming on Sunday. Let's hope so. We're going to need big performances from everybody. JDC, tick, tick, tick. It's woo time. Yes, indeed. So small. I think you are correct about that, Art. There should be very, very improved. Yeah, it should. Normally, you see a pretty good size improvement from 1 week to the next. Tori, Goff needs time to throw. The ground game needs holes to hit and can't give that quarterback that much time. No, I would agree with all three things. Xavier, I wish people would not give up on the Lions after one game because this team has grit. It does indeed. Pat, Xavier, most of us here are ride or dies. I would agree with that. JDC, it's the human condition, Xavier. Probably a lot of truth. JDC, go Lions, exclamation point. All right, Packers are not to be taken for granted, that's for sure. Their first loss could be Thanksgiving Day. Ooh, could be indeed. Man Bear, good morning, all. Jim, the Packers look strong against the Commanders. They did, man. Johnny L, good morning, folks. Carrie, Rob, Kendall, easy on the paper. You don't want to smear his beers that too bad. Okay. Steve Rogers, good morning, everyone. Back at you. Barry Bell, Lions 01. Have you noticed that the Packers are running a very, very similar offense to us? Yes, they are. 100% there. I agree with it. They are trying to copy our success. Maybe true. All right, guys, let's go ahead and bring over our special guest of the day. You know him. You love him. He is the host of the most, the bossing up, most coast ever out there. I don't know, man. I'm going to different places with it. Let's go over and bring over Professor Hitman Steel. Professor, is school in session on Sunday when the Lions play the Bears?
Absolutely, it is, man. The bell's gonna ring, and those bells gonna be ringing loud on third down. It's gonna be a bounce back game for the Lions on Sunday.
In your opinion, how big of a difference is it playing at home versus on the road? Because it does seem like the Lions struggled a lot with communication issues. Do you anticipate that will not be the case as much this game?
I don't think it will be as much of an issue this game. I will say this, though. I think with a veteran team we had last year, we went undefeated on the road. I think it wasn't as big of an issue because of the fact that they were, used to playing with each other, and they're veteran guys. Some of those young guys, you get them on the road, man, they in new conditions, understanding they play big time college football, but big time college football and the NFL is two different things. You're going against the best of the best of that top 1%, of football players. And it's going to be a little difficult at first, but I think they'll be okay. But I think that these coordinators and these coaches and Coach Campbell and everyone involved got back on that practice field the last few days and were like, we're going to fix all this crap. So make sure we come firing out on Sunday, man. So school will be in session on Sunday.
All right, professors educated us on that. So let's get into some more school assignments. What are some areas you think will more than likely show significant improvement for Detroit versus week one?
I definitely will believe that they will have some improved play on the back end of that defense, man. Shepard is not playing with that. He wants those guys to communicate, and you saw on that tail end of that game Sunday where they had some better communication in that second half, especially in that third quarter. You will see a better pass rush than you saw in that first half versus the Green Bay Packers. There's going to be some mix-ups. Some time that they can go ahead and do some twists, some stunts, some blitzes. They're going to put some pressure on Caleb Williams.
And to generate that pressure, if you're Shep, what are you doing? Because we all get it that at least in the first quarter, maybe you could say the first half last Sunday, man, Jordan Love had 18 Mississippis at times. What do you think Shep does with pressure on?
Like you did last night versus the Commanders. I watched that whole game. He had a lot of time to throw the ball. You bring an extra guy. You bring 5. You bring 6. And you have to disguise it better. You know what I'm saying? You look at it where, and that to me, it's that when you bring those extra guys in the package, that starts to loosen up those double teams on Aiden Hutchinson because they can't. Because they start ghosting, because if you double team Hutch too many times, you're gonna have a guy like Derek Barnes coming off the edge, or Brian Branch coming off the edge, you know what I'm saying, or coming in an inside twist with a guy like Anzalone. So you got to be able to mix up those, and that's a lot of those things that were the problems for the Bears when they played against the Vikings, where they started stacking that box with that fifth and sixth guy, and they were just going full steam ahead. So mix up your coverages. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you play your tight man coverage, and of course, you have to be able to get that extra man in the box for the run game, first of all, and then secondly on that pass rush.
Okay. Let's talk about the rookies that played last week. What did you see out of them? What are your way too early expectations for some of these guys?
Charlie Williams, he has a lot of growth, man. He has a very high ceiling, coming up, man. You just gotta, keep him playing, getting him into better game shape as he plays more live reps. Tesla, we can say about that kid, man. That kid's gonna be magic, man. He's gonna be magic, and he's gonna help our offense out a lot, because when you take away some of those like cheating on the double team of Amon-Ra St. Brown or Sam Laporta, he's gonna be a one-on-one matchup nightmare, because he's tall, he's big, and he's fast. So that's the one guy. And I just think that once you get Tate Radish to settle down, man, and he can get that communication to what he needs to run, he's gonna be fine. He's a big nasty blocker too, man. But he kind of, that rookie kind of showed on him on first game, man. You got guys like, lo and behold, Michael Parsons, or saying some of the other guys, twisting and studying it for Green Bay. Their defensive line looked great last night as well. So I can't sit here and say that it was a fluke. I would say this. I would say, for the most part, in the second half, the Lions played a better game than the Commanders did against the Packers just did last night. I think that second half, the first half was probably about equal. We played about the same, but the second half against them, I think that the Lions played a little bit better. The offense still sputtered, but the defense played a lot better in the second half than the Commanders' defense did last night.
When you talk about what you've seen out of the Detroit Lions, and obviously you've got 2 games to analyze now with the Green Bay Packers, but in your opinion, what were some of those things they did to make adjustments in the second half from a defensive standpoint, talking about the Detroit Lions?
I'm just talking, they were more aggressive. You know what I'm saying? They tried, even though they did, they may have not sacked Jordan Love, but they put more pressure on him, and they were able to communicate on that back end of that secondary, man. They played a lot better coverage in the second half of that game, and the linebackers were more aggressive coming downhill. Derek Barnes was playing downhill in that second half, man, making some plays behind the line of scrimmage, man, and that in run defense. I just think they played more aggressive. They played their style of football in that second half, being more aggressive up front and tighter coverage on the back end.
So let's move forward to Sunday. When you analyze what you've seen with the Bears and what you've seen with the Lions, where do you think there are some things for maybe the Lions offense to attack or exploit with the Chicago defense and take advantage of it?
They still have the same holes that they had in their zone against us last year, where those deep dig routes and those, those some of those routes down the middle of the field, the intermediate to long routes, they were there for the Vikings, man. You look how Justin Jefferson got loose in the second half. It was on those deep crossers and some of those dig routes, some of those dagger routes, and of course in the seams. So there's going to be some opportunities to get that going. And then another thing is where the attack the run defense. Like the guys they brought over, they're good they're good pass rushers, but they're not great against the run. Like Ken Law and those guys, they're not really good run defenders. So what did the Vikings start doing? Jordan Madison, man, he was lighting them up. Who do we have that's that size and build that has that type of ability? Demo. Right. Demo should have a big game. He loves playing against the Bears, of course, former team. So, run the ball and set up play action. I mean, like, it isn't a big secret of what our strengths are. Is run the ball and play action. So, and then once you can get that going, man, you will open up the middle of the field for passes and dig routes and some of those explosive plays that Johnny Morton wants to run. But get back to what we do,
Right.
and you know what I'm saying, the rest will take care of itself.
If you're the Detroit Lions coach, obviously, or player, you lose week 1. Now you got Ben Johnson and the Bears coming into town this week. How big of a game is it, do you think, emotionally for everybody in Detroit?
Nah, you're gonna have some guys that definitely going to want to put the screws into Ben Johnson because of what he's been saying and how he left and everything like all those things. To me, to be honest with you, as a coach, I'm saying this to my team. It doesn't matter who's coming in here. We should be it's all about us and what we do. We need to get back to the way we play football. Be fired up to play football. You should be mad because you lost last week to any team. You shouldn't want to lose to any team. So you should be getting back to what you should be doing and making sure you're making the plays. So you get that right. You get yourself right. And because of the fact that when you play in sports, especially even team sports, man, the onus is on you to perform, not what the other team is doing.
Right.
I mean, so you have to execute what you were able to do. I mean, you're a coach, man. So you know that, man. You have to be able to do what you do best. And if you can't, you have to make adjustments to be able to get back to that. So I'm 100% confident this is gonna be a bounce back game for the Detroit Lions, man. The coaching staff wasn't happy. I heard you talking earlier about Kelvin Shepard. That was probably the most aggressive press conference I've ever seen from a coach. It was very aggressive. I can't even say he was fired up. He was aggressive.
Yeah.
He was aggressive. So, and I don't think it was toward the media. It was just he was aggressive because he was pissed off.
Yeah, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I'd rather play or coach with or whatever you want to say somebody like that than nothing against Aaron Glenn. I think he's proven to be a good defensive coordinator. I think he's proving that he's probably going to bring some legitimacy to the Jets. But just from a personality standpoint, Aaron Glenn is very mostly even keel. Where Shep, man, he's drank a few Mountain Dews before he's got on that mic, and I think that would just fire me up. All right, yeah. One person Shep though did maybe call out a little bit is Terrion Arnold. What do you think about Arnold going into his second year? We heard all sorts of stuff in training camp about how he was playing better, and then Sunday in that first half, it did not go well for TA. Break it down for me.
Well, I look at it like this, man. I mean, we had the one good breakup down there on the goal line where he broke up a pass. Could have been a touchdown. Got scored on. That I think the touchdown they gave up on that when he got rubbed or picked, you got to have more communications with that. That's between him and his teammates because he's got to pass that route off. Hey, pick, get your safety over the top to take that play. I just don't think the whole secondary was being very communicative on that back end in the first half, and that cost the Lions. And did he play well? No. Did he play okay in spots? But he plays probably the toughest position in football to especially learn this young is the cornerback position. So I think TA will be just fine.
Yeah, I think he'll bounce back. The only thing I know I mentioned earlier, but if they felt like he was gimpy at all, that's a tough spot. I mean, a real tough spot. If you're asking somebody to play man-to-man across the board, you're giving the other quarterback a couple seconds, and if you're not at full health in your legs or hips or anything, that's tough, man. Yeah. All right, the Lions wide receivers did not have a great game against Green Bay. How much of that is just the new offense, new setups? How much of that was the Packers defense?
I think it was a combination of that Packers. They play in a great zone, and man, look at them last night. They made it tough for the Commanders to throw, man. But like, you have to be able to find holes in the zone, man. And the way we played our offense last week, we can't do that and expect any type of proficient scoring. You just running a whole bunch of go routes, man. You got to be able to get these guys in space, you know what I'm saying? Have them sit in zones, crossers, digs, all that good stuff, dagger routes. choice routes. Like those are the bread and butter of our offense, man. And this, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, man, you give that guy a choice route, man, especially in the middle of the field, he can eat you up because he has that rapport with Jared Goff where he kind of knows where he's going to be, and Goff can put it on him. But just having him go down the field, man, that's not the way to go, man. You have to have, even with the success of Laporta running some of those, kind of, go routes or, down the middle of the field where he caught some good passes in the second half, man. I want the route trees to be varied, man. I looked at that. When I looked at that offense, even with the motions, they still were pretty much running a lot of verticals. I'm like, nah, man, I want some crossers, I want some digs, I want some stops, I want some goals, I want some choice. I want a whole bunch of stuff that we do normally that these offensive weapons know how to do and what they're comfortable running. So that's what I want from John Morton.
Yeah, I'm with you there, especially when you go back and watch it on the coaching cam where you can see the field more. I mean, not that Amon-Ra St. Brown can't take someone downfield, but is that really one of his strengths as a receiver where you're asking him to do that 60 or 70% of the time? I guess we'll see how that plays out over the season. J-Mo, I get he's 6'2"-ish and a little bit more plus the speed. Maybe it's a bigger thing, but I guess we'll see how the offense evolves. One last question for you. A whole lot of Lions fans. We lost in Green Bay. A whole lot of Lions fans are predicting doom and gloom. We may go 0-27 this season or something like that. We may have the first pick in the draft. Why do you think some Lions fans, because we lost in Green Bay, now are predicting we'll be last in the division, won't win a game this season? What is that?
And I can speak from my own personal experience, because I have it in real world. The Lions fans, a lot of Lions fans have PTSD, man. They have anxiety because of the fact that they know how bad it was before, and anything that looks similar to that, it automatically reverts them back to those days of the doom and gloom. But knock it off, man. Say the same Lions team. Like, get it together. They'll be okay. They're the same team as they were last year, except for a few pieces, man. And I think once they get those, once they can get themselves, on track, they'll be just fine. I just think that it's going to take a little bit of time. You got to look at the changes, man. Like I never said that, it wasn't, them changing some personnel wasn't going to be a issue. I just said it wasn't going to be a huge issue because once they get going, and even Coach Campbell said it, man. Like Ben Johnson started off 1-6 as the offensive coordinator of the Lions, man, and he didn't have the same individuals that they have on the team now. So let's give Morton and David Shaw and those guys, some little bit of time. I think they'll be fine.
I agree too. I think to your point, I think the longer we get into the season, because of the track record of this coaching staff, how they focus on player development, I think they'll show up more and more. All right, Professor Steele, thank you for putting us through your school session today. Why don't you go ahead and give yourself a shout out to everybody about yourself, where they can find you, support your channel, and all your great content.
Man, you can find me over at the Boss Up Ball Out podcast and over on sidelinersports.com. Check me out. I'm putting out some new content over there as well. It's a new sports journalism site. So go check me out. I'm writing over there as well. And of course, today, man, 8:00, right following Lions Talk Live, we got a live version of the Boss Up All Out podcast. I have a special guest coming on today, man. So you want to check that out at 8 a.m. right after Coach Dan gets off. Come on over to the Boss Up All Out podcast and hang out with us, man. We're talking some matchups for the games on Sunday.
All right, we'll check it out there in about 12 minutes. So as always, Kurt, thanks for making a little time out of your day to join the Duke crew.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me, man. All right, Duke crew. We're going to see you guys later.
We'll see you. All right, we got a couple minutes left. We'll get through some comment sections here. Pierce Sergeant Carey, you get it! Exclamation point. Jacob, if you've never been fast, you don't understand that speed kills. Man, you ain't wrong. Speed's one of those things, sort of like height. You can't teach them. And you can teach a lot of things in sports to people, but some people just genetically have things that some of us don't. All right, Ogadoo, this Sunday is going to be a different game from last Sunday. Lions roar 34-24. Hey, let's make that happen. I like the way you're thinking. Bad guy, fourth quarter is dagger time. Woo! I like it. Let's put the dagger in them. Metaphorically speaking, let's not really run out there and put a bunch of daggers in the Chicago Bears. Let's see, Thomas. Lions fans are the best at one thing, freaking out! Exclamation point. There's not too many Medusa-minded individuals in Detroit. I'll just say that. Fair enough. Yeah, and I get it, and I think, Kurt Steele's 100% right with it. If you're a Lions fan who's watched this team for decades, maybe even multiple decades, 4, 5, 6, 29 different decades, you get it. You have been let down a whole lot by this team in ways that just are inexplicable. Some of the emotional impact it's had. That also being said, it doesn't mean the past is not prelude to the future. So let's see what shakes out. James, now we will not go 0-27. We'll be fine. I have faith in my Lions. Exclamation points. I like the way you're thinking. Pierce, Carrie Pierce, Bo knows. Bo knows. That sounds like a good plug for a commercial. Pat, DM5 TV, I see an ego spent my money like my wife at the mall. We will sit back and they sign and the good players, and there will be big games every year. There's always big games, right? Jacob, righteous indigenous is a good thing most of the time. I'll go with that. Broski, Bear strategy will be bully the Lions in the trenches and make Ratledge, Mahogany, and Glasgow have a long day. We'll see if that's what shakes out. Thomas, Professor Steele, great takes on the Lions fans. That's part of that there is a part of that decades of ineptitude creep in. Yeah, 100%. You start thinking, here we go again. 100%, Thomas. Bo Pierce, credit where credit's due. Who came up with DDI? DM5, exactly, Pat. Brad Holmes has saved some pennies mentality instead of win now mentality. I would agree with that. I'm not here to say which way they should do it or anything. I repeatedly for years on the show said what I would do. I like being aggressive. I can never guarantee what next season or 2 seasons from now will bring. So you know what? I go in win now mode all the time. Thomas, I don't mind taking a little time to get the team together, but if we're 1-3 or 1-4, that would be time to panic probably. Ken, we have too much speed and talent for any defense to crowd the box and the line of scrimmage, exclamation point. No reason we shouldn't be able to spread a defense out and create open spaces. Let's hope we do. The Rebel, come on, Duke Crew. Every team aren't the Packers. This might be accurate. The bad guys, yes, the same team with the same players. I'm not worried about the players that the OC and DC that need to figure out what they're doing. Why I said the Bears will win. All right. Donkey Kong, top 5 draft pick incoming. Pat, I hope that makes a splash before the trade deadline. We'll see if he does make a splash. Jacob, let's be clear. Until they win something, they have to suck it up and take the criticism. Yeah, that's fair. Bad guy, not top 5 Donkey Kong, but 18, 22, and maybe. All right. Donkey Kong, top 3 draft pick incoming. Woo! All right. Would we make a trade to get that Donkey Kong? Blind's a bad guy. 18 to 22nd pick. All right, we're making some trades here. Jacob, and that penny pinching comes from the Ford family. That could be accurate. Jay, let's see if the Packers can keep up this up for 15 more games. Yes, exactly. Pat, exactly, Coach. Hey, every once in a while. Big M, hopefully Morton scaled back the elaborated blocking schemes for the young guys, getting a little groove, gain some confidence. I concur. Courtney, Packers had 2 home games. This is also accurate. Trade day criticism should only come from the media. The fan base should be supportive of their team, even at their lowest. We'll see how they do. James, a lot of people don't remember, but they refused to pay Barry, and he held out for the preseason. They did once upon a time, 100%. Derek, Glasgow, and Decker are too old and worn out. Mahogany and Ratledge are too young and inexperienced. We need more depth. All right. Hoogadoo. Well said, Dre Day. Well, Jay Chacon, I don't believe that Detroit has splurged many times on overpriced free agency and got us nowhere. Yes, we did. Remember Pat Swilling gave up, what was it, like the number 7 overall pick and some other stuff for him? That did not work out, unfortunately. But they were being aggressive. Mary, Dre Day, agreed. Dale, great show per usual, Coach. Appreciate you and the Duke Crew. And we appreciate you, Dale, and everybody in the Duke Crew. Bad guy, no trades. We'll pick 18 to 22 and Dan O'Damas. All right, well, fair enough. All right, guys, if there is breaking news later today, I'll get it over to you as soon as possible. If you would be so kind before checking on out, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit all the buttons. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Do something kind for somebody you don't know, and we'll see you all on the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.